Do you seek love or emotional anesthesia? I remember a primal sensation, a hunger that didn't come from my stomach but from my soul, a deep void that settled early, before I even knew how to name the emptiness. It was an emotional hunger no one saw, a thirst for affection the world seemed incapable of quenching. I grew up amidst presences, yet feeling a screaming absence, a space within me no obvious care ever filled. I believed that if I were good enough, useful enough, lovable enough, this hunger would finally be satisfied. But it only grew. This invisible hunger became my constant companion, a hidden desire that relentlessly drove me to seek, incessantly, any crumb of attention, any external validation that could give me the illusion of fulfillment. Chronic neediness isn't merely a feeling. It's a state of being, a desolate landscape where the soul dehydrates in search of a single drop of recognition. My body often somatizes this hunger, a tightness in the chest appearing from nowhere, a diffuse anxiety with no apparent cause, a constant discomfort preventing me from finding quietude. It's the soul's voice murmuring, pleading for something it cannot name, but whose absence it deeply feels. The soul's hunger is the pain that distractions and shallow affections can never satisfy. Over time, this relentless search for fulfillment transformed into an addiction to affection. It's not a substance compulsion, but a perilous dependence on external doses of validation, attention, any emotional crumb that might temporarily anesthetize the void. Every "I love you" I receive, every gesture of care, feels like a temporary dose calming the withdrawal of chronic neediness. But the effect is fleeting, and the hunger soon returns, more intense, more desperate. I became a collector of affections, seeking in each relationship a new injection of being full, even if the source was superficial or damaging. This relational malnutrition isn't visible to the world. It hides behind an "I'm fine" smile, behind an active social life that, internally, is a desert. It's the hidden desire that drives me to remain in toxic relationships, to accept less than I deserve, to give excessively in the desperate hope of finally being seen and filled. My body reacts. Insomnia, a heart that races for no reason, an exhaustion not from work, but from the constant vigilance not to lose the next dose of affection. My mind becomes a hostage to the search, unable to find satisfaction in my own presence, always seeking the next emotional fix. Emotional anesthesia is the cruelest illusion, for it hides the pain that needs healing. I look into the mirror, but the image returned is of someone always falling short, fundamentally incomplete. No matter how much I receive, the inner voice whispers, with icy conviction, "You don't deserve the quiet comfort of a genuine touch. You don't deserve the fullness of love that demands nothing in return." This is the architecture of my relational malnutrition, the belief that, deep down, I am unworthy of pure, unconditional affection. Every compliment is counterfeit currency, a poisoned gift my internal system rejects, programmed for scarcity. This belief of unworthiness fuels affective self-sabotage. I withdraw when intimacy threatens to deepen, create unconscious dramas that push away those who get too close, or give excessively until depleted, forcing the other's retreat. It's the dark psychology of addiction to affection in action, a mechanism ensuring the necessary distance so that the truth, that I am not enough to be fully loved, is never disproven. It's an exhaustive dance, a ballet of strategic retreats, where the hidden desire to be filled is paradoxically sabotaged by the fear of being seen in my vulnerability. As Carl Jung warned, what you deny masters you. What you accept transforms you. And I deny my deservingness, subordinating myself to a cycle of relentless, unsatisfying external validation. My body at times reacts with chest tightness, subtle shortness of breath, a reflection of the soul's suffocation from denying itself fullness. Love that seeks to fill an external void finds an inner abyss. Chronic neediness is an endless labyrinth, where every corridor leads back to the same pain of absence. No matter how many affections I accumulate, how many doses of attention I receive, the inner void persists, a black hole consuming all light. I feel like a bottomless well, always thirsty, always seeking more, yet never finding the source. This is my reality, the desolate landscape of a soul lost in the incessant pursuit of something the external world truly cannot offer. My life became a frantic race, a chase for the next dose of affection, the next person who, for an instant, will make me feel less incomplete. This emotional hunger no one sees is my engine, my strength, and paradoxically, my prison. It's the hidden desire to be filled that leads me to accept less than I deserve, to submit to dynamics that exhaust me, all to avoid feeling the unbearable weight of the emptiness. My body, exhausted, responds with chronic fatigue no rest can repair, with a nervous system in constant alert, always lurking for the next threat of abandonment, the next absence. Relational malnutrition isn't others' fault, it's my pattern, a dance of seeking and dissatisfaction repeating in every connection. I hear Gabor Maté echoing in my mind. Trauma is not what happens to us, but what happens inside us in the absence of someone to share it with. And my absence, my trauma, is this inability to fill myself from within, to find the internal source of love. Chronic neediness is the thirst for an ocean that exists only within you. The harvest of this escape, this incessant pursuit of emotional anesthesia, is bitter. There is no true fulfillment, only a vicious cycle of seeking and frustration. The addiction to affection traps me in a golden cage, where the security of having someone is bought with the very freedom to be authentic and to fulfill myself from within. My capacity to give and receive love healthily has atrophied, and relational malnutrition is living proof that the quantity of affections doesn't translate into quality of connection. My body is tense, my soul exhausted. The emotional hunger no one sees deepens, and the hidden desire for something more becomes a silent lament. I became a hermit of the soul, trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage where deep intimacy is avoided, and vulnerability is a risk I cannot take. The dark psychology of this addiction reveals a self held hostage by its own need for external fulfillment, unable to find the internal source of satisfaction. The pursuit of external love to fill an internal void is the path to the deepest solitude. There is a silence that has become my native tongue, the language of a thirsty soul. I don't shout, I don't argue, I don't impose my boundaries. Chronic neediness taught me my voice is a risk. Expressing my desires could drive away the source of affection, however small. My identity was molded to be an echo, not an original melody. Every unspoken word is another nail in the coffin of my authenticity, a piece of my soul dissolving for an illusory peace, bought with my own truth. Relational malnutrition isn't just lack of affection. It's the absence of a self that allows itself to receive and be fulfilled. I became an observer of my own life, watching it pass without full participation, a ghost navigating among the living, but never allowing myself to inhabit my own body or express my own truth. The mirror reflects a figure whose eyes carry the melancholy of a past, not theirs, yet manifested in every line. Invisible exhaustion is the price of this forced muteness, a weariness reaching the soul, manifesting in diffuse pains medicine cannot name, in a body that contracts in silent protest. The thirsty soul seeks in others' desert the oasis that exists only within itself. Emotional anesthesia isn't an event. It's an abyss deepening each time I prioritize the external dose of affection over my own internal truth. Addiction to affection programmed me to be a body without a center, a soul without gravity, perpetually orbiting others' needs and desires. I got lost in this tangle of threads, becoming a specter of who I could have been, trapped in a cycle of seeking and dissatisfaction that has no end. Emotional hunger is the force pulling me down, into the darkness of annihilation. My fragmented identity proves this annihilation. Parts of me that dared to be authentic were silenced, repressed, hidden to avoid unbalancing the fragile castle of appearances this pursuit demands. Relational malnutrition manifests as phantom pain, a spiritual discomfort pulsing relentlessly, constantly reminding me of my own absence. This is my raw truth, the inability to fulfill myself from within, to find the internal source of love. There's nowhere to run, no one to ask for help. The solitude of this burden is my only companion. I gaze at my room's ceiling. It reflects a cloudless, indifferent sky, mirroring my solitude, my renunciation of peace. My soul screams for a truce, a single precious moment to let go of everything. Emotional anesthesia is the cruelest betrayal, for you lose yourself in the pursuit of illusory relief. The harvest of this false fulfillment is bitter. No medals for accumulating affections, only invisible scars marking my soul's internal landscape. My capacity to feel atrophied. Empathy became a conscious effort. Genuine connection, a distant utopia. Affective self-sabotage manifests in small withdrawals, automatic no's to invitations that could bring light. I became an emotional hermit, trapped in my resistance. My body is a map of diffuse pains, a chronicle of invisible exhaustion. Restless nights, incessant thoughts. I feel the crushing weight of emotional survival in every fiber. The silent emotional terror of collapsing is a constant threat, my only engine. The inner voice which once whispered, "Be strong," now screams in despair, "How much longer?" But my mouth won't open, lips sealed by decades of vulnerability denial. This is my truth, an exhausted being imprisoned by invincibility. As Gabor Maté teaches, trauma is not what happens to us, but what happens inside us in the absence of someone to share it with. True fulfillment isn't in accumulating affections, but in discovering the source within oneself. And so my existence unfolds, a silent testament to the gradual liberation from the pursuit of anesthesia, from the burden of being lost in emotional hunger. This is my new legacy, the story of a life that, though wounded, seeks reunion with its own truth. The frozen memories of my chronic neediness begin to thaw, revealing not an abyss, but a portal to understanding. The dark psychology of addiction to affection reveals a self that, though held hostage by the past, begins to find the path to its own inner voice. Invisible exhaustion, once a punishment, is now a map, indicating points of healing. Relational malnutrition gives way to emotional self-sufficiency. It's not a total renunciation of affection, but a redefinition of love, where my own fulfillment also matters. I gaze at the ceiling. It reflects a sky beginning to show stars, a glimpse of peace. The end is not a magical cure, but the journey's continuation, the persistence of a heart that allows itself to feel, even if it hurts. I am my own refuge and my own guide, eternally connected to the truth that sets me free. Liberation is the only inheritance worth leaving to yourself, an ocean of inner fulfillment. If you seek to fulfill your emotional hunger and recognize this pain, write in the comments, "I seek my own source." And if this truth touched you, follow the channel for more conversations no one dares to have.